Good afternoon, buon pomeriggio a tutti. My name is Corrado Paina and I'm the Executive Director of ICO Canada. Italy, a Place to Go was created to spread knowledge about what lies beyond the widely known Italian charms and attraction, to show us that all Italy is both a place of eternal beauty and sustainable opportunity for the future. This project was developed by the Italian Chamber of Commerce of Ontario, Canada, and is supported by the Embassy of Italy to Canada, the Consulate General of Italy in Toronto, the Italian Trade Agency, the Istituto Italiano di Cultura, and the Italian National Tourist Board. I guess we have all been to Italy, and if you have not, you will have a chance to get ready for the big trip. The Grand Tour was called time ago. We're talking about an Italy that lies on excellence, an Italy that is strong from the industry to the food, to the gastronomy. Every sector in Italy has quite an importance. Today, we have the pleasure of hosting two exceptional representatives in this field. Darius Aria, PhD archaeologist and historian. Oscar Farinetti, founder and vice president of Italy and creator of Green Pea. Professor Aria will take you on a journey through the least expected and less traveled itineraries in different Italian places, from Rome to Umbria, Puglia, Campania, Calabria, Sardinia, and Sicily. Then we will be watching a video on Green Pea, the latest project by Oscar Farinetti, the founder of Italy. Green Pea is a 5-floor building in Turin where environmentally sustainable and respectful acts of purchases and consumption are made possible, from fashion to food to furniture. Before starting the lecture, we have a video message from the Italian Minister of Tourism, Massimo Garavaglia.
Buongiorno, sono Massimo Garavaglia, Ministro del Turismo italiano. Vi aspettiamo in Italia, nelle nostre spiagge, nelle nostre montagne, nelle campagne, nelle nostre città d'arte. Oggi siamo a Roma, potremmo essere a Milano, Palermo, Napoli, Ferrara, sarebbe lo stesso. Vi aspettiamo nei nostri 55 siti UNESCO. Vi aspettiamo a tavola con un buon bicchiere di vino e potete venire da noi senza quarantena da tantissimi paesi. Insomma, l'Italia è aperta, è il momento di rivederci dopo tanto tempo. Mancate solo voi.
Let me give the floor to Eleonora Andretta, our moderator for these lectures. Eleonora is an interpreter, translator, and instructor of English for academic purposes at George Brown College in Toronto.
Thank you, Corrado, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to moderate this outstanding initiative in collaboration with Sistema Italia. This event would not be possible without the support from our sponsors, in particular Util Group and Villa Charities. Now let's move on to the heart of today's lecture on tourism and culture. Our first guest on this lecture on tourism and culture is archaeologist, historian, and documentary host, Professor Darius Aria. Darius has led excavations and taught university programs in Italy for over 17 years. He's a Fulbright Scholar, Fellow of the American Academy in Rome, and Guest Scholar of the Getty Conservation Institute. He directs the American Institute for Roman Culture and its online learning platform, Ancient Rome Live. Darius has been featured on many channels across the globe, such as BBC, History Channel, National Geographic, Discovery, and many more. Today, he will be doing a presentation on lesser-known Italian history and sites. Welcome, Darius.
Thanks, it's great to be here.
Thank you. So enjoy the lecture.
All right, so let's explore Italy, the places to go, and I want to focus on the lesser-known history and sites of this beautiful country. We're going to be covering a lot of regions, and there's a lot to see in Italy, so I'm going to share with you some of my favorite places that I've been in the past, let's say, 18 months. So first of all, some new perspectives. It's all about taking the road less traveled. That's my opinion. I think you can get a lot of benefit from it. As an institution that I direct, we've had an unlisted conference where we're focusing on the lesser visited, lesser known sites. It's such a richer experience because you usually have those places to yourselves. The Uffizi Galleries just this week has been pushing out, giving some of its collection to lesser known infrequently visited sites, beautiful places with lots of history, but has attached them to their collection. I think that's a fantastic initiative. Parco Colosseo has also been doing something similarly, shouting out to places that were connected to the history of the Colosseum. Let's make the connections with the stories, the material culture, the shared heritage, shared routes, shared ancient tours, the Grand Tour, and the historical figures that populated these various cities. So, of course, a little word about under Rome and around Rome. There's always going to be something ancient to be discovered. Here's a recent discovery underneath the Curia in the Roman Forum. So you can always read about this. You can always get excited about coming to the places that you think you know. You're going to learn something new. So this might be the cenotaph of Romulus himself. It's a big question mark, and the excavation is ongoing. All right, let's start in Lombardia, Brescia. And I've discovered Brescia visiting a friend of mine who has a very nice art foundation there. And it was an occasion to, of course, see the Roman ruins. And I was astounded. I had not been to Brescia before. How do you get to these towns? It's through connections, it's friendships, it's seeing an image in a movie. But I was totally blown away by the Capitolium here in the city of Brescia. It is just magnificent. And the city itself, of course, is stupendous. And it doesn't get that much of travelers, but it's very close to Bergamo, it's close to Milan, it's easily accessible. And look at this, we go back to the Republican times. This is a rarity, something that you would see in Pompeii or Herculaneum. Here we have it underneath that Capitolium temple. These beautiful frescoes imitating panels of marble, taking us back to the Republican times. Okay, let me take you to Umbria, Narni and Carsulae. I've been able to film for Rai Cinque Under Italy, a series, and I went to Narni like that. But what's at the bottom of the hill of Narni is a magnificent, one of the biggest bridges ever built in the ancient Roman world. Here it is in ruins. And of course, I had to go see it for myself. And my younger daughter is the camera person here. But you can see that I'm excited because this was 30 meters high. And in the distance, we see this single arcade that still stands. And they've made a lovely public park where you can go and investigate the other ruins to understand the building materials that are involved in constructing this bridge. It really is something worth your while. When you think about the tallest buildings the Romans built, the largest structures they ever built, here is the largest, the tallest bridge they ever built in the entire Mediterranean. Down the street from a friend's house in Umbria near Terni is Carsulae, which is a wonderful archaeological site. And of course, it's going to live on in the Christian era, but the Via Flaminia passes right through it. That's the Via Flaminia that takes you to Rome. All roads lead to Rome. And there are so many different itineraries I love taking, just following along the ancient roads. And to the left is the entry point into the forum of this historical site. And in the case of Italy, all these sites are culminating with churches with a new life in a new direction in the early Christian period, and sometimes going all the way into the Middle Ages. Puglia. Puglia is a fun time, and of course, I was there recently at the beach, and we discovered Ignazia, which is a wonderful site that actually has a portion of the experience where you can go snorkeling or even scuba diving to explore the remains of the harbor. But here we are panning through, looking at a magnificent forum area. And it's a site that, again, is right on the water. You literally go across the street and you're at the beach. And what's so fun about these places is that we're looking at a wall circuit of the Messapians, the people before the Greeks that colonized Italy, or the Romans that came and made their colony in Ignazia. So you're getting a full range of history and experience when you go and explore Italy. Of course, you're not just looking at the ancient Romans, that's my thing, but you're getting so many other interesting opportunities to explore the people that were in southern Italy before the Romans were there. learn about the Messapians, learn about the Greeks that colonized southern Italy and Sicily. So many fantastic opportunities await you, and Ignazia was, for us, a great family discovery. And this is something that I really wanted to see. As an archaeologist, as a person interested in the great bronze statues of the ancient world, I had to go to Barletta in Puglia. It's a very charming city, but my initial desire was to see this colossal statue that's probably 5th century AD, basically one of a kind from the ancient world, and it stands out in a public square. Absolutely fantastic to be able to see this and then explore a very charming city that I would otherwise never have stopped by. So whatever interest or passion you have, you can follow that passion to go to make new discoveries in towns large and small. And it's in these small, intimate circumstances like in Barletta that you'll discover new food, new palaces, churches, and of course, fantastic art. So let's go to Calabria, where we were, and just this past summer. And of course, the Bronze di Riace are world famous. But guess what? Not a lot of people go and see them. It's an incredible opportunity to walk through this recently restored museum. It is absolutely superb. And these are among the greatest bronze statues that you will ever see anywhere on the planet. And it's just to have that intimate connection, this time with them is really something special. Also in Reggio Calabria, we have Scolascium, which is a lovely site, mostly famous for Augustine through late antiquity, and they have a fantastic music concert, and they illuminate the massive monuments that still really captivate you and your attention as you explore through countless olive groves. I mean, it really was a beautiful experience, and music is a big part of the experience today. And I really enjoyed it. And of course, up the hill, say a few words about this wonderful amphitheater. And of course, always in the distance, you have the sea. And of course, you choose the adventure that you have in Italy. Do you want to make it of the mountains? Do you want to make it of the lakes? Do you want to make it of scuba diving? Do you want to explore places just along the coast? That's where most of the ancient cities are located, obviously for communications. Rome is is a little bit different, right? Because it's inland from the sea. But here we have a spectacular amphitheater. And of course, it's the only known amphitheater in the region of Calabria. We know how popular amphitheaters were in the Roman world. So coming and seeing another amphitheater yet again with its own characteristics, stone and so forth, and location is always a real treat for me. Campania. So I spent quite a bit of time in Campania lately, so let's see a couple of sites. Now, you know Pompeii, of course. Maybe some of you know Herculaneum. It is absolutely fantastic. It's richer than Pompeii. It's less excavated than Pompeii. It's better preserved than Pompeii. And every time you go to Herculaneum, it truly is a magnificent experience, an intimate experience, in part because fewer people go there, but also because the level of preservation. You've never seen so much carbonized wood as you do when you visit Herculaneum. Multiple stories are preserved. It is absolutely a special experience. And of course, you know, you can see it and then compare and contrast it with Pompeii. Pompeii is on another level than it's ever been in decades because of the conservation work that's been done. So another reason to go and appreciate these sites is that there's so much more care and attention and accessibility that's taking place, particularly in these key sites in Campania. Of course, we can go to Paestum, and you know, Paestum's on the map. Paestum's part of the Grand Tour, and Paestum has these magnificent temples. But now, after many years, you are again allowed to go inside some of the temples, which is another experience. It's all about participating in history, experiencing, touching it, walking it. And I just wanted to show you then that people are very much enjoying the experience of exploring on their own inside these temples. And that's because there's been greater care given to these monuments that they feel confident enough to now allow you to go back into these temples that maybe you were doing 30 or 40 years ago. So there's a lot to celebrate when you're going to explore these sites. Here's an active excavation site in Nequinum. It's in Campania, halfway between Rome and Naples. It's near Monte Cassino. You have the Apennines right behind me, and there are roof structures being constructed recently over top a newly discovered bath complex. This is over 150 acres in size. It's a magnificent site, and it's fun to come and see colleagues do their work and make new discoveries, and of course, always focused on reaching out to international travelers, saying, come and see our active site, but also the great conservation work. Take you to another site destroyed by the eruption of Vesuvius. This is Aplantis. Villa Aplantis was already found in the Bourbon period. It is a massive sprawling villa that might have been owned by the family of Poppaea, who was one of the wives of Nero. And the level of preservation here is stunning. It is not a city. It is a singular, rich villa owned by one family with an Olympic-sized swimming pool. It is a treat to go and explore this site. And I guarantee you, if you go to Villa Aplantis, you'll have the site all to yourself. Let's travel to Sardinia. And Sardinia has great history and archaeology. It has these defensive towers called nuraghe that are at least 800 to 1000 BC. There are 10,000 of them, we think. They're not using any mortar to make these towers. And this is one of the few that you can go up and up and up to the top, which is obviously a lot of fun. It's safe, but it feels like a bit of an adventure. And that's, kind of how I like to do my visits. I want some adventure, I want some fun. I obviously want to relax, but the adventure is part of how I relax. So I'd probably be upset if I didn't have me in some tunnel on a vacation. It really is, one of those things that you maybe don't think of Sardinia for. You think of the cheese, you think of the beach, but you need to think of nuraghe, you need to think of this incredible archaeology. And we're not too far from Olbia here. And what a view. And this is some of the archaeology that goes around with that population. Here we have these colossal statues dating to about 800 BC. And they become sort of mascots, engaging you as you come in and see a signage about Sardinia. And it was a real treat to see them in a new museum. So again, time and time again, I think there's a much greater engagement with the resources and the cultural heritage that you have in Italy. And it is just one big open museum. And of course, these open museums still have museums. The nuraghe is accompanied by that fascinating museum. Oftentimes very small scale, very intimate, very modern. So here to Sicily, I'll take you to a little island called Pantelleria. And Pantelleria is actually closer to Tunisia than it is to Sicily. And it's a great site because it is heavily occupied by the Carthaginians. But as I'm walking along here, it's also become, after the Romans beat the Carthaginians, it becomes a Roman site. Of course, today Pantelleria is known for Passito and all kinds of wines and beautiful beaches. But of course, it has the archaeology that I just had to go and explore. So it's just, there's so many different aspects of your travel that you can consider. The architecture of varying periods, the churches, we have then the beautiful landscapes, the Macchia Mediterranea, we have the wine, the food, we have a lot of archaeology. So I'm pointing out here to one of the many cisterns because it's a very dry place. So they're collecting a lot of water as you make your way up to the central part of town. And it was a very hot day. It was a very satisfying day. And there's actually an ongoing excavation with the German team. And I went up and talked to them and learned what was new. So there's always a chance to engage people and to explore. Palmarola in Lazio. So talking about the Pontine Islands, and in this case here, Palmarola is an unoccupied island next to Ponza, which is probably better known. But as my friend of mine, I was on my friend's sailboat, and he pointed out that there's a small island where I want to say a 5th century pope was abandoned on it and died. So I had to climb up this little outcropping to see the shrine honoring him when he was abandoned by Theodoric the Great. Nobody else that I was with, nobody else wanted to hike up there with me, so I had the little section there to myself, and then they picked me up with a little boat afterwards. But it was really cute, really charming, and one more step close to another history, connecting it with that great chronology that Italy offers. And again, how can I underline how impressive and how rich the history of Italy is? It's bottomless, and each of these experiences is truly treasured and unique. And then Procida. Now, Procida, I'm leaving you with, well, the cultural capital of Italy in 2022. But a lot of people don't know it. And I just did some work there. And essentially, I'm with a big team of people, and we're filming and so forth. And I was the only one out of something like 40 Italians in the whole team that had actually been to Procida, because I had taken my students there in the past. And it is wonderful. There, you can see in the distance is Ischia. So it's the little island in front of Ischia. And then it's the cultural capital, which is so rich and varied in its landscape. It has a wonderful lemon salad that you can have. There's Ischia in the background. And it truly is something to treasure and to explore. It's tiny, it's intimate, and it is just a fabulous, fabulous experience. And right here, I'm in the tallest point, which is a Renaissance palace that becomes a Bourbon palace that becomes a prison that only is closed, I think, in the 1970s. But we got a chance to go on the roof and look at the view you get, the beautiful view that you get from Procida. There's Capri in the distance, so magnificent. We're going to pivot over to Sorrento. And then all the Bay of Naples. There's Vesuvius, of course. And then we're now pivoting into the Bay of Pozzuoli with Miseno. The beautiful waters of Procida. And then we can pivot over to get a little view of the main town of Procida as we kind of pivot. There's the harbor. And behind Procida is going to be Ischia. But what a charming Ischia. What a charming experience. And if it's not on your radar, you want to consider taking the short trip from Naples over to Procida. The boat then continues on to Ischia, another fabulous island. But all these experiences have just been a treat to go and explore, either professionally or with my family. It's just endless. And we're always, of course, seeking out authenticity and real experiences. And I encourage you to slow down and reach for those experiences, because you'll have such great treasures and memories to take home with you.
Wow, thanks a lot, Darius. That was an amazing presentation. And it was about the unexpected parts of Italy and secrets of Italy, which is what all these lectures are about. So thank you so much for that. That was really amazing.
My pleasure.
There are just a couple of questions from the audience that I would like to ask you. The first one has to do with sustainable tourism. And it's how has the concept of sustainable tourism changed after COVID-19?
I think we're all very much more aware of it. We've seen the devastation to a lot of the various economies related to tourism. So I think people want to be more thoughtful. People want to have as authentic of an experience as possible. And I think they know that there are steps that they can take to ensure that they have a much better, more authentic experience in Italy. I think they're ready for it. And I think that all the people within the tourism situation and the industry need to also not want to get back to the way it was before, which was a lot of over tourism, but rather tease out and share, divulge more of the secrets about what makes Italy so fantastic and why every day there's a new discovery to be made.
Thank you. And since you're an expert, we have another question, which is about the future actually of tourism. So what are your predictions for Italian tourism in the years to come?
I think what I'm hearing right now is there's just been so much desire, pent-up desire from people around the globe to come back to Italy or to come to Italy for the first time. So I think there will probably be, in the short term, just a tidal wave of people coming to Italy because they miss it. But I think in the long-term situation, we have to be, all of us, smarter about it. And if people can learn to slow down the pace, enjoy more, drink in more, literally, the history and the culture, the richness that Italy offers is unparalleled, and you don't need to then do it at a breakneck pace. I'm hoping, and I'm hearing at least, people want to search out, to go to lesser known places and discover more of the beauty of Italy for themselves. And I'm hoping that in the long term, this is the direction that people will go into and really get a lot more out of being in Italy.
Thanks. So it's reassuring what you're saying. Things are looking good for tourism in Italy. That's it's good to hear. And about the thing that you said traveling in a smarter way. So what would you say, what tips would you give the travelers of the future now that everything has changed so much, especially in, as far as traveling is concerned? What are your tips for the new traveler?
Well, I think a lot of the new tips would be the old tips, which is if you go early to a place, if you explore a city early in the morning, you have more of it to yourself. If you're there in the late afternoon in a place, you have more of it to yourself. But just slow down. I know we want to tick off the box and we want to take the selfie in front of 12 different museums in every city, 5 cities, and that's your trip. But if you can come away from that and just say to yourselves, you will enrich your life, not just your experience, and you'll remember more if you just slow it down. Don't overreach. Less is more. Enjoy Italy. That's what a lot of Italy is about, with its history and culture. Drink it in, sit in that piazza, and much more of the experience will stay with you for a lot longer, and you'll be coming back.
Wow, those are great tips, really, indeed. Thank you so much for being with us today, Darius. It was a pleasure to have you with us. Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Now, after this intriguing presentation on the lesser-known Italian tourist destinations, we have now the pleasure of introducing an innovative, sustainable, and eco-friendly Italian project called Green Pea, which stems from the creative genius of Italian entrepreneur Oscar Farinetti. Oscar is the founding father of Italy, a chain of stores offering an all-encompassing Italian experience, from restaurants to bakeries to cooking schools. With now 37 locations all around the world, Italy has established itself as a favorite go-to place for enjoying the Italian spirit and the Italian culture. A true visionary at heart, Oscar has brought to the world its latest creature, Green Pea, a 5-floor building in Turin, Italy, where sustainable products become a pleasure. Here is a video about Green Pea. Enjoy.
Nature is what we see. The hill, the afternoon, squirrel, eclipse, the bumblebee. Nay, nature is heaven. Nature is what we hear. The bobolink, the sea, thunder, the cricket. Nay, nature is harmony. Nature is what we know, but have no art to say. So impotent our wisdom is to her sincerity.
Tutto nasce da qui, nasce che il 29 ottobre è il clou di quello che poi verrà definito Vaia. Una tempesta, una bassa pressione molto importante che ha creato danni enormi nelle nostre vallate, nel Bellunese in particolare. Mi sento in dovere, per aiutare il territorio, di mandare 4 righe al committente dove spiego quello che è accaduto in maniera molto sintetica e racconto che probabilmente queste piante di abete rosso potranno essere riutilizzate, potranno ritornare ad avere vita. Oscar ci ha dedicato molto tempo e siamo tornati a casa con la convinzione che questo poteva essere l'inizio di una nuova strada che ci dice: ok Mauro, ci siamo, ci hai convinto, il materiale mi emoziona, è assolutamente inserito in quello che è il nostro progetto, il lavoro si fa.
Poi ho conosciuto questo Mauro, personaggio strepitoso che arriva da Belluno, un uomo di rispetto straordinario, infatti ha chiamato la sua azienda Legno Sole, ma il rispetto più importante che portava per questi boscaioli, queste persone che vivono nei boschi e che erano distrutti a terra. Un po' come oggi noi ristoratori per il coronavirus. Loro avevano avuto un coronavirus meteo terrificante, un tornado, quelle robe che una volta arrivavano solo a Cuba. Sono arrivato a Belluno e ho distrutto queste foreste ammoniche, queste foreste incredibili con cui legni ci costruiscono gli Stradivari e ci siamo messi d'accordo in 15 secondi. Facciamolo con quel legno lì. Però per riuscire a farlo bisogna che un personaggio come te, Mauro, che conosci il territorio e conosci le persone del territorio, vada lì, scelga i legni, li lavori, vieni qua, li porti e li monti. E questo ha fatto Mauro. Credo che non cesserò mai di ringraziarlo.
The most inaccessible areas are reached by able and experienced woodcutters, who identify and prepare the trunks felled during Storm Vaia.
L'INPI merita di avere il più bel edificio al mondo. Per bello si intende sano, sai, il buono, pulito e giusto di Slow Food messo in questo campo. Quindi l'edificio deve essere tutto fatto di materiali frutto di energie rinnovabili o riciclati, deve essere smontabile perché un domani devi smontarlo e portarlo da un'altra parte e quindi abbiamo pensato ad un edificio che si può smontare con un cacciavite e una chiave inglese da 24. Infatti le nostre pubblicità iniziali saranno: non venite con un cacciavite o con una chiave da 24 perché altrimenti ci smontate l'immobile.
They transport the logs through the woods, choosing the best routes to preserve the trees still left standing and reach the loading points. Here, the logs are carefully stacked and secured on specialized timber transport hooks. Once loaded, they undertake a long journey through the very same woods where they were recovered. They then reach the site where they will be processed and treated with a completely ecological thermal process that improves their technical qualities and performance so they can be used for eco-sustainable building.
Riutilizzo o biodegradabilità? Questa è una domanda che mi fanno in tantissimi. Io rispondo con la terza, durata. Ho cercato di spiegare prima il tema centrale della sostenibilità e del rispetto, la durata. Dobbiamo comprare oggetti che ci durino una vita, che diamo ai nostri figli, ai figli dei nostri figli, avanti così. Così salviamo il pianeta, perché non c'è più il problema di riciclarli perché durano per sempre. Perché Greenpeace? Perché è arrivato il momento di affrontare il tema del consumo consapevole. Vedi, chi ci ha creato ha messo 2 orgasmi sulle 2 cose che assicurano la continuazione della specie, mangiare e fare l'amore. Quelle sono le 2 attività fondamentali. Adesso dobbiamo unire una terza, perché è vero che il mondo non finisce se mangiamo e se facciamo l'amore, però il mondo finisce se continuiamo a consumare male, e quindi il consumo consapevole diventa un'attività fondamentale. Questo è il motivo principale di Greenpeace. Molti mi chiedono questa storia dell'ozio creativo, allora cerco di raccontarla in poche parole. 2500 anni fa 4 persone hanno cambiato il mondo. Sta cosa si è svolta ad Atene, sull'Acropoli. Uno si chiamava Pericle, l'altro si chiamava Socrate, poi Platone e poi Aristotele. 4 personaggi che hanno vissuto in 173 anni e sono stati 173 anni che hanno cambiato la faccia del mondo, ma hanno cambiato noi, i sapiens. Diciamo che hanno segnato il passaggio, il grande solco tra la storia antica e la nuova storia dell'Homo sapiens. Hanno inventato un'immaginazione nuova sulla quale viviamo ancora oggi. Hanno inventato la bellezza, la democrazia, una nuova moneta, una nuova economia, un nuovo modo di confrontarsi e di vivere in armonia. Bene, sai che succedeva? Succedeva che sulla punta dell'Acropoli, dove erano in 3000 a non fare un tubo, Domenico De Masi lo chiama l'ozio creativo, perché hanno inventato queste cose grazie al fatto che non facevano niente. Per quei 3000 ce n'era 100.000 sotto che si facevano un mazzo così, agricoltori, falegnami, idraulici. E un giorno Socrate dice a Pericle: come li chiamiamo questi qua? E lui risponde: chiamiamoli negozio, cioè la negazione dell'ozio, che era il contrario di come la viviamo oggi. Quindi cosa ho pensato di fare? 4 piani di negozio e un piano di ozio. Riproponiamo l'Acropoli di Atene. Dopo 4 piani di negozio andiamo su ad oziare, ma deve essere un ozio creativo. Quindi libri, scrittura, chiacchierate, presentazione di libri, eccetera. Iniziative a favore dell'ambiente. Intanto l'iniziativa dell'iniziativa è aprire Greenpeace, che è un'iniziativa proprio totalmente a favore dell'ambiente. Tuttavia, nel percorso di Greenpeace dobbiamo inventarci le robe straordinarie. Ne abbiamo in cantiere molte, ve ne cito 2 che mi stanno molto a cuore. Una insieme a Stefano Mancuso, il grande scienziato del mondo vegetale, lanciare questa campagna di piantare 1.000 miliardi di alberi nel mondo. 1.000 miliardi. È l'unica maniera per catturare e divorare l'eccesso di CO2 che abbiamo mandato su. Dei 1.000 miliardi di alberi, 2 miliardi spettano all'Italia, e cercheremo dentro Greenpeace di raccontare come, dove, che specie piantare e come risolvere questo problema di piantare 2 miliardi di alberi nuovi nei prossimi 2 o 3 anni. E poi un'altra altrettanto importante, insieme a Mauro Scagliarini di Legnosole, dove dobbiamo ripiantumare un sacco di alberi in queste foreste del Bellunese straordinarie. Ciao Corrado. Ciao my friend that stay in Toronto. I am very, very happy to stay with you today. And now I tell you one history that I have write for you. Today I would like to talk you about her, about Italy, my nation, that is in my heart. For this special occasion, I decided to open a bottle of 1999 Barolo Reserve Borgogna. Here it is. Look this bottle. It's a rarity. First of all, because it is Barolo, a wine that born in a little piece of Italy, in the northwest of Italy, a beautiful hills area called Langhe. In Italy, there are so many places dedicated to excellent wine production, and any of us, depending on where he was born, finds his wine the best one. It is the beauty of Italian biodiversity. You have to think that in our peninsula, Italy, there are about 1,200 native grapes, and every one of them is able to generate great wines. There are only few bottles like this out there, and the reason is simple. 1999 has been an extraordinary year for Barolo, a sublime wine, available on the market for over 18 years now, from 2003 to now, and very hard to not drink, too good. 1999, it is not just the end of a decade, a century, a millennium. It marks the end of a double millennium, 2,000 years that separate us from the Jesus Christ's birth. 2,000 years in which Italy did a lot of things. Perfect. In the glass. Perfect. The going was long. At the last 500 here, and I would very briefly to tell you about is it true for Italians. Dante Alighieri was the first to talk about Italy, calling her beautiful country, il bel paese. People from the beautiful country where the sounds, yes, sì. The sounds, sì. Dante refers to Italian at the time when Italy was still a concept yet to come. The language is, in his version, a reference point, and the word sì, to say okay, yes, sì, represents the first core of common identity to the different people and the beautiful country. This concept was later reiterated by Petrarca. You remember Petrarca, the beautiful country that Appennino mountain starts and the sea surround and Alpi mountains. At the same time, Dante deplored the Italian political condition at the time. Och Italy you slave, of pain hostile, both without boatswain made into a great storm, not a woman from province, but from big brothel, gran bordello. There is a vision of Dante, there is hope, there is the force of think big, without losing the analytical skills in regard to the real. The second great Italian I want to tell to you about, now we really arrived to Risorgimento period, is Giuseppe Mazzini. I think that there is no better way to describe Mazzini, one of the absolute fathers of the Risorgimento, the unification of Italy, except through the words of one of his enemies, Metternich. I had to fight with the greatest of the soldiers, Napoleon. I came to agree emperors, kings and popes between them. Nobody given to me more trouble than an Italian brigand, skinny, pasty, rigid, but eloquent like the storm, burning like an apostle, smart like a thief, self-confident like a comedian, tireless like a guy in love, who has the name Giuseppe Mazzini. Italia are burning, confident, tireless, in love. People who, if they want it, are able to think big, And now, let's close this part dedicated to Risorgimento period with two sensational characters, Giuseppe Garibaldi and the King, Vittorio Emanuele II. I can say that the best way is to tell together about them in occasion of their historical meeting in Teano. The King of Piedmont and Sardinia, Vittorio Emanuele II, had occupied papal territory in the Marche and Umbria region and was gone to meet Giuseppe Garibaldi, who, with a heroic act of 1,000 in Mille, started in the Sicily region after landing in Marsala, had reacted the counter-offensive attempt from Bourbonic army during Volturno battle and had completed the conquest of the Kingdom of the Two Sicilies. The Piemontese intervention, as regards international profile, was to stop his expedition before the conquest of Rome, because it would cause a violent reaction of Napoleon, the third Napoleon, and place in jeopardy the conquest already made. The first to talk was Garibaldi. Hello to the first king of Italy. The king held his hand out to Garibaldi and he done the same. The two men remained like this, keeping their hands together more than 1 minute. How do you do, dear Garibaldi? I'm fine, thanks. And you? I feel good. Garibaldi, you made a great thing, and it will remain forever in the Italian history. But now, you are letting them complete their feat without new bloodshed. Let me take you the Napoli, so you can receive the glory you deserve. But from today, please, consider ended your feet. Aiobbi, maestri, obbedisco. The famous word of Garibaldi, obbedisco. Of course, we are not sure that this suggestive exchange of words has been happening into exact words in the reality. The history, told through the century, assume often colorful expression to make it really memorable. However, I can assure to you that the real sense of this epic meeting has been hit. two characters that were too able to think big and make Italy. Here's what they have in common, the four Italian that I have told you about. The skill to think big. The time has come to taste this great wine. In the color, I show the justice of Traiano. In the perfume, I smell the beauty of the Rinascimento. Now, in much months, I can taste a great flower, as much as to skill to think big of the Risorgimento. I'm talking about three extraordinary moments in the history of our country that have given us these positive feelings, which now I find in this 1999 Barolo Riserva. I know. I should tell you about this persistent and very well balanced round palates. I should describe this aftertaste sensation of vanilla and fresh licorice. But I prefer the emotional part. I swear to you that I feel in my mouth that this very long wine can help me to think big. This is my flower, to think big. And we now come to the last historical period of our Italy. I am here to talk you. The post-war Italian and economic miracle. But to introduce it, I must of course to explain from what horrible history the Italian miracle was born in the 900th century. 2 world wars, persecution, massacre, extermination, genocide and destruction, so much destruction. And from that time started new Italian positive feelings. Let's start from the liberation of Italy, from Nazism and the fascism. It is a moment of great heroism that lasted 20 months, from September 1943 to April 1945. The combined action of allies, in particular the United States of America, along with Italian partisans, it given freedom to our country. As an Italian addressed to the world, I feel compelled to give a special thanks to the people who, to release the oppressed Europe from Nazism, they have sacrificed life of many of their young guys. But at the same time, I would like to point out the big heroism 100 young Italians who transformed partisan brigades and collaborate in a decisive way to the liberation of Italy. One of these was my father, il Comandante Paolo, the Captain Paolo. I toast to you and to all the Italian partisans. And what I think that is a good taste. And then we have been busy. The Italian people showed a great will after a wrongly lost war to resume their journey to well-being. I am talking about the Italian generation born between 1920 and 1940. very hard workers. In Italy, it started a large migration from south to the north, thanks to this union of people from the same country. The post-war economic miracle was born. In less than 15 years, Italy was rebuilt. Modern factories were born, agriculture has evolved. At the end of the 1960s, Italy became one of the most 5 richest countries in the world. The new feelings which led to this fantastic goal are trust, courage, and civic duty. I choose one of these, the trust. There was no rightness. There were no ways but a lot of trust. Self-confidence, confidence to the others. We gave credit. We felt shame to not pay our debts. We helped each other. And our Italy, our beautiful country, reborn. Still today we enjoy these values, even between more difficulties, between so much contradictions. The wellness and peace didn't leave us. Let us never forget this marvel. For this reason, after remembering the color of justice, the smell of beauty, and the flower of think big, I would like to continue with a toast to the confidence, hoping it start to grow up again, like it was from 60 years ago. Here I am finished. Sorry from my poor and broken English. I know it's just some hundreds of words in English, but I think to be able to make me understand the important things is to understand each other. But there is also one of these, an Italian, who speaks English very well, and he's worked hard for Italy. He has done and is doing many things for our country, much more than me. Is our Prime Minister, Mario Draghi. I would like to thank you, President, and I would like to dedicate to you the last toast. Is to you, dear Draghi. Thanks for your hard work, with much intelligence for all of us. And thanks because you make us look good all over the world. Thank you, Mr. Draghi. Cheers. Viva l'Italia, viva il Canada.
And now, before giving the floor to the Executive Director of ICCO Canada, Corrado Paina, let's watch a video on the event online booklet. You can also find the link to the booklet in the chat.
Thank you, Lenora, and thank you once again to Sistema Italia for their incredible support. I would like to remind to all of you that this is the 60th anniversary of ICCO Canada. Please stay around, become a member, work with us. We'd love to have you in our family. And I would like also to take this opportunity to inform you that the Istituto Italiano di Cultura is offering a variety of Italian language and culture courses, ranging from beginner to advanced levels. Please contact the Istituto to register for these lessons. And now, allow me to thank all the people who work incredibly hard behind the scenes, both before and during the event. Thank you, Mary Chirico, Ilaria Venoso, Monica Gammarota, Richard Bressan, Tiziana, Astrid, Marisa. And we are at the end of Italy, A Place to Go. It was a fantastic trip, I hope for you too. And I hope to see you at the next edition of Italy, A Place to Go. Thank you again for your attendance. Thank you for your support. And have a fantastic summer.